Om Sadashivasamaramabham Shankaracharya-madhyamam Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Yadavidya Vilasena Bhuta Bhautika Srishtayah Tam Naumi Paramatmanam Sachidananda Vigraham. The prayer verse is so beautiful. That Ishvara and the reality being invoked together is just beautiful. Okay. Okay. Before I go into the text, I am asking a question just to see whether you all have understood it. Okay? Question is simple. All this discussion that we have been having up to now, is it from the point of object of perception or knowledge of perception? Knowledge. Sure? Yeah. Okay. Good. That means at least those who have been sitting here have followed that well. Because this is a confusion that often comes. Okay. If you remember a few verses back, he said, Vrittigatam Jnanagatam va, he had started, Whether you are talking about perception from the standpoint of the object of perception or from the standpoint of the vritti. We have been talking from the standpoint of the vritti. Object will come. That definition has not yet been made. Okay. All this time we are talking about perceptual knowledge. Not the perceived object. Okay, keep that in mind. Okay. Now, Surabhi, Chandanam, etc. we saw last time. Because we said one aspect will be inferential, one aspect will be perceptual. Because that's how the means of gaining that knowledge. The knowledge is classified. See, all knowledge takes place in your mind. Whether it is worldly knowledge or spiritual knowledge. Everything takes place in your mind. Okay? Vakyadeva avakyartha pratipattihi. Shankara's student, one of his greatest students, called Suresh Vacharya. He says, by the sentence alone, Mahavakya, sentence alone, will you gain the knowledge of that which is not an object of the words. It's not an object of the words. The Atma is not an object of the words. But through the words alone will you get the meaning. Or in the Gita it is put as Buddhehe param buddhva. Knowing that which is beyond the buddhi. Okay? Therefore, all knowledge takes place in the mind. In the Gita. Buddhehe param buddhva, 3rd chapter, towards the end. Last couple of verses. Indriyabhyo hi param manaha, manasu para buddhihi, buddhehe para tusaha, evam buddhehe param buddhva. That way. So all that comes, last 2 verses of the Gita and the 3rd chapter. Yeah. Therefore, buddhehe param buddhva. All knowledge takes place in the mind. Therefore, you objectify all the knowledge that is there in the mind. That is clear. Then how are we classifying it as perception, inference, etc.? How you gained that knowledge? What is the pramana that you used to gain the knowledge? Okay. That's how you classify. Yeah. You gained it by perception. You gained it by inference. Listen right now. This place always has some noise going on. That noise. Yeah. So that inference, some work is going on. It's an inferential conclusion because you are not seeing it, you are only hearing the noise. You need to have that difference in ways of gaining knowledge. Otherwise, everything will become one gochi inside, one belpuri inside. You don't know what is what. Yeah. So, that differentiation helps you clarify things. What is inferential? What is this? What is, inferential and inference and arthapatti will require the use of logic. Use of logic will be high there in inference and arthapatti. Without that, it can't happen. Yeah. Therefore, it's necessary to say why. Because anywhere where logic comes in, there can be upadhis, errors. We saw the different categorization. Forget the categorization. Logic means, your logic is much more erroneous than your perception. Perception can be erroneous because of certain contributory factors. But definitely, anything you infer or presume, arthapatti, deductive logic, will have its flaws. Therefore, you have to be more careful that the flaws are kept away. Otherwise, whatever you think will be taken as true. And the means of knowledge has come into the picture because whatever you think is not true. Why did science come into the picture, tell me? Because what you saw was not true. There were contradictory instances. It's easy to conclude. The eagle flew over the coconut tree, the coconut fell. I saw it twice. Okay. Eagle flew, but then it was contradicted. Sometimes eagle flew, the coconut didn't fall. Then there was the other reason. Yeah. There must be other reasons. Yeah. So, whether it is science or epistemology in the Vedic way, it came because you knew that what you saw and what you think is not true. Always. That's why intuition is never put as a pramana. Does intuition exist? Of course it exists. No doubt about it, it exists. Yeah. But it is not put as a pramana. Why? Because it requires verification. Very often what you think as intuition is nothing but your own wishful thinking. Yeah. Ask any guy who has been to an area where there are a lot of men and women. He saw some girl smiling. I think she likes me. Forgetting he was signing at a friend behind him. Oh, she has been friendly and smiling at you. Good. A friendly soul. Yeah, as a friendly soul, that's okay. So, lot of what you call as intuition, etc., or this thing is purely wishful thinking. But does it exist? Of course it exists. But it has to be verified. And because it requires verification, doesn't become a pramana. Verified by other means of knowledge. Other than intuition, you require to verify. Perception, you may require to verify perception. How? By perception itself. This is a book. Not very clear for me. I think my lens here is dirty. So you are verifying it by perception itself. You are not verifying perceptual thing by inference. Because pramana is svata siddham. Pramana is svata siddham. It exists by itself. Each pramana is validated by itself. You don't need another pramana to validate it. Another pramana cannot validate it either. Whereas intuition is not like that. You need to validate it. Yeah. Therefore, keeping all that in mind, all this is said. Okay. So, knowledge. You know it is there. So people can be intuitive, but intuition is not a pramana because it can be wrong. Yeah, that is all this is. Like I saw something Friday night as part of my meditation. Now I have to verify it. Now it is seen in a very, very sacred situation. Okay, as connecting up with the cosmic mind, I saw it, but still has to be verified because it may be my fear, my dislike, my subjectivity coming into the picture. So I still have to verify it. Yeah, because that's how it is. That's how the things are. Human beings have that limitation. And those limitations can be pretty strong. Your intuition also can be strong. So it may be right, it may be wrong. Yeah, maybe right, maybe wrong. Yeah. You know, generally what happens in all these things, we remember only what went right. Those intuitive moments that went right, we remember. The 100 things that went wrong, we don't remember. Yeah, he's like a gambler. Someone who gambles. He will only remember the times he won. What about all the times you lost the money? That you don't remember. What you won, you remember. I don't know. पैसा बना सकते हैं. I'm going to the casino. मैं इधर इधर बना. कितना loss, कितना हो गया. Nobody remembers that. Similarly with intuition, you remember only the things that it all went right. What about the times it went wrong? Don't tell me it has never gone wrong. If you are saying it never gone wrong, you, as I said, you have forgotten all the times it went wrong. Or you are deluded. You are deluded. Yeah. Like a great yogi has once said, I know intuitively, Shiva is nothingness. He is convinced about it and he talks about it, he preaches about it. But we all know that is not true. We all know that is not true. Any of us into the Shastra, any of us who has been into, forget Shastra, in terms of Vedanta, even who has been into strong Upasana, know that is not true. Who has been to Shivagama, know that it is not true. It is not nothingness. Because how are you interpreting what you saw? How are you interpreting it? That's also important. Yeah. How are you interpreting? Because he is trying to know the source of Shiva, what Shiva really is. There is nothing but consciousness not available for your perception. It can't be objectified by your mind, and he was trying to objectify it and he saw nothing. Yeah, subjective objectification is trying nothing he saw. He says there is nothingness. I am sure because I have seen it. Yeah. You don't know the process. Now you know why we study all these things. You say because hey, ऐसा महारथी लोग है. Such Brahaspatis are there in the world. They have to deal with that. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Then he is breaking another argument, another objection. Nacha evam, 22 page. I am sure all of you know that. Because last time we saw that Surabhi, Chandanam, etc. That para we saw. Now this one. Evam ekatra jnane, in one knowledge, parokshatva aparokshatvayoho abhyugame tayoho jatitvam nasyaditi vachyam ishtatvat. Ishtatvat is the answer. If you take that one piece of knowledge, inferential knowledge, okay? What is inferential knowledge? This mountain has fire. I am sticking with the same example. The mountain is perception, fire is inference. Okay? Therefore, in that whole unit knowledge, the mountain has fire. You are saying in Vedanta, one part is perception, one part is inference. Therefore, he says, iti paro Aparokshatva aparokshatvayoho abhyugame. One is direct, one is indirect. Abhyugame. Tayoho jatitvam na syad. So what jati will you put it? Parokshatva jati or aparokshatva jati? You all know what a jati is. Tarka se, correct? A category, a classification. Tableness, potness. Similarly, you will not be able to classify this knowledge as paroksham or aparoksham. That's very desirable for us. Ishtatvam. We accept that. You can't classify it. Barabar hai. But you also accept jati, na? Yeah. Jati, guna, kriya, sambandha, etc. We also accept. But in what sense we accept? The big difference between the way Nyaya accept and we accept it. Okay, here he says, Jatitva upaditva paribhashayam sakala pramana gocharataya pramana agocharataya apramanikatvad. So your jatitvam sarva pramana agocharam. Jati is not available for any pramana. Potness is what pramana is available for potness. For pot, perception away. Potness, what is the pramana? I'll clarify that more. Let me read one more line. Gataha ayam ityadi pratyaksham hi gatatvadehe sadbhave manam natu tasya jatitve api jatitva rupa sadhya aprasiddhau tat sadhaka anumanasya api anavapkashad. Look at it. Ayam gataha ityadi pratyaksham hi gatatva prasiddhatve manam. When you say this is a pot, the pratyaksha is pramanam for what? For it being a pot. Correct? For it being a pot. Okay? Gatasya sadbhave manam. That there is a pot existing right here. That's a perception. That there is a pot existing right here. That's what perception tells you. Natu tasya jatitve api jatitva rupasya sadhya aprasiddhau. Along with the gata, gata is a rupa, correct? Form. Gatatvam also is it a rupa? Gatatvam is not a rupa. Gatatvam is jati, is not a rupa. Therefore, asadhyatve aprasiddhau tat sadhaka anumanasya api anavakashat. Therefore, if there is no linga, no data for jati, how are you making a anumanam? Because jati is anumanam. Because there is one gataha, there has to be a family of gatahas. That family is called jati. That group. Jati is not caste there. Jati is just a classification. Therefore, gatatva jati. What is the linga for that? Pot. A pot is pot. How are you combining pot with pot, gatatvam as a jati? But that's a concept now that exists. Yes. But we are doing this technically. In Vedanta, we accept the gatatva jati as a class of pots. There are pot is there means a class of pots. The family of pots will exist. Big pots, small pots, fat pots, thin pots. All that will exist. But what is jati according to Nyaya? Yaad hai? What is being dismissed? It has to be nityam, eternal. Therefore, even if all the pots are destroyed, jati of pot will continue. Kidhar se? Huh? If all the members of a class are destroyed, the class is destroyed. No? In Iraq, long ago, there was a jati of Hindus. Abhi kidhar hai? Concept will be with those people who have seen a pot, not with those who have not seen a pot. Therefore, the jati being eternal is not there. There is no eternal jati. As a group, we accept it. As a group, Vedanta accepts it. But the jati surviving the death of the individuals is not there. Huh? The pot is mithya, not the isness is not mithya. Isness is satyam.
No, ghatatvam, when we talk about
Ghatatvam is only conceptual.
And that's mithya, basically form and function.
Yeah. Therefore, he says, because on this way he says, and what is the connection with the pot and the jati? Samavaya sambandha. Inherence. It is inherent. The jati and the is inherent in the pot. He says, Samavaya asiddhayaha brahma bhinna nikhila prapanchasya anityataya cha nityatva samavetatva gatadi jatitvasya gatatvad asiddhescha. He says samavaya asiddhaya. Your samavaya sambandha is also asiddham, meaning your samavaya sambandha, which is samavaya is nityam connection. Gatatvam is inherent, nityam in the pot. The jati has got a samavaya sambandha with the pot, and the samavaya sambandha is also supposed to be nityam. That he says, Brahma bhinna, other than Brahman, nikhila prapanchasya, the entire prapancha, anityatya is anityam. Therefore, nityatva samavetaya gatadi jatitvas, the nityam that you talk about with respect to samavaya sambandha, with respect to the jati, is as asiddham, non-established, as gata itself. Gata is also asiddha. Gata is not permanent. Look at it. I saw a pot and came to a conclusion that there should be potness, which is a jati. Correct? Isn't this how we come to a... Remember that exercise I gave you on? Draw a table. You will draw a table that you first saw as a kid, 4 legs. But because you recognize tableness, you will recognize the table in the Irani shop which has got only 1 leg, or any other way of table that is there. Correct? Because of jati. Now, according to Nyaya, this jati is eternal, nityam. And the jati exists in the gata by samavaya sambandha, the property of inherence, which is also a nityam, because in the jati is nityam. It is there in the jati, therefore it has to be nityam. Vedanta is dismissing both. Vedanta is saying your pot itself is anityam. Therefore your gatatvam is also anityam, conditioned by time and space. Why? Gatatvam is different from patatvam, no? Finite. Correct? Gatatvam and patatvam and dogitvam, shwatitvam, all that is different. Correct? Since all that is different, it's a finite entity. Therefore, anityam eva. Does a concept of pot exist? Yes. Is it nityam? No. Are you understand what is being dismissed? The eternal nature, the nityam nature is being dismissed.
This is the same as when Vedanta tells us that, from the standpoint of the jail.
Yeah,
You're saying really
exactly. So, jatitvam exists. Of course, there is a class called pots. We accept. There is a jati of pots. There is a jati of tables. We accept that. But that it is nityam. Then there is samavaya sambandha. How do you establish samavaya sambandha in the first place? That also can't be established.
Can you explain the Samavaya Sambandha?
Huh?
Samavaya Sambandha, just explain it.
Inherence, Samavaya Sambandha is that property by which the individual and the totality, jati, inheres into the Vyakti.
So how do we dismiss that? Because we are dismissing the
It is not Nityam because pot itself is not Nityam. Then how can potness be Nityam? Nani, because the potness as a concept will survive all pots. Okay, fine. But it's different from clothness.
So how does Nyaya answer this?
Nyaya doesn't, that's why Vedanta is dismissing it.
So
Therefore, Nyaya makes a presumption, an assumption, put it like that, not even presumption, an assumption of that, of Nityatvam of Jati. And their assumption is based because even if all the pots are destroyed, your concept of pot can be there.
whenever you speak Vidya and Vedanta,
Yeah.
you come from the other end.
Exactly.
And now when you're presenting it like this,
It comes from this end.
but it's really the same.
Shifting, yeah, but shifting standpoints. Therefore, yeah.
The moment we are saying jati,
Hmm.
immediately it means there is something else other than this.
Exactly, good point. The moment you say jati, meaning you're putting it as a class, that means there has to be other classes also. That's why I said gatatvam and patatvam. Gatatvam is a jati of gatas, patatvam is a jati of. Now you, as a sidelight, now you know how deliberately wrong translation of jati was given. Jati just meant a group. A group of things were called jati. A group of things were called jati. You wrongly translate it as class and then you break up the whole society.
Abhijit, this thing, it's so obvious that Jati is a concept and it cannot be Nityam. Like for example, dinosaur.
Yeah, but when I presented Nyaya, you all took it as fact.
But the thing is, these guys are so intelligent and
Huh?
they are so well read, well thought and so.
Yeah.
How can they not see such a
Because you are going only by perception and observance. Same thing mistake science is making. Only observation, perception.
observation only is saying that Jati is only gone, so it cannot be.
No, how can jati go? One second. That's where Sunita's argument came in. How will jati go?
Swamiji, I have not understood the question, please.
The question is, how can it not be seen that that it is not Nityam?
It's obvious.
It is very obvious. It is not obvious because you are going only by observation. Therefore, even if you have a room full of pots, all of them were destroyed. The concept still exists for you to make a new pot.
But you are gone. The one who is seen is gone. That means that is also gone.
So the other others, look at it. The concept of jati became important because one person from that group survives, that knowledge survives. One person from that group has to survive. The knowledge will survive. The concepts will survive. One person survives, concept will survive. That's why when foreigners came into India, they tried to destroy it culturally, destroy it conceptually. Otherwise, there is no destruction of a nation. It still survived. Still survived. Because people kept their knowledge and heritage alive. So the jati is the same thing. Pot, survival of pot. Forget. Let us say all the potters were also wiped out. पानी लेके जाने के या नहीं लेके जाने के? Once again, let us say all the potters were killed. So all the people who seen the pot was killed. Okay? Let us say a natural calamity happened. That whole area got destroyed. New people came. पानी पीने के क्या नहीं पीने के? Pot will come or not come. It is because of this that they talked about it as Nityam. Are you seeing that? They are intelligent people, correct? And intelligently they thought about it as Nityam because of this.
The concept survives the time that the
Yeah.
knower is there.
Yes.
Right? That's
Yeah.
But it is fought. For example, marine life or something. You see so many different types of creatures.
Correct.
So many of the jatis
Correct.
are gone. And
So they will be gone.
so that is gone. So then
So
how it is
that only supports that the jati is not eternal.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but they were not looking at all those things. They were not looking at all that. They looked at limited. What is functional? See, who will look into what? What is affecting your life, you look into. And remember one thing. When electricity was not there, for example, okay, then free time was very less. Remember, women's liberation started with the invention of electricity. Imagine you want to eat dosas every day for breakfast or dokla. Grinding हाथ से करना पड़ता था ना. Electricity was not there. Pani, well se. From the well you had to draw water. Fire, chop wood. How much of time went in these chores? Now that time got freed up. So now you can explore other things. You know what will destroy the civilization? Not artificial intelligence, AI. Not all the scientific discoveries. What will destroy is our over dependence on entertainment. Amazon, Netflix, this, that, oh my God. Please keep track how much of time you spend on the social media. Keep track. The time that you are freed up from your chores, from things, what are you using it for? Phones are all available. You don't need memory. You don't need this. A time will come and you will forget everything. Yeah, as it is, how many numbers you would remember? All the frequently dialed numbers we had in our mind. Now do you remember any number? In fact, those numbers I used to dial before the cell phone I got 20 years back. I remember. I remember. 35155797. Uma's number. I remember. So many numbers I remember like that which I used to dial before because I used to dial them. After the phone come, I don't remember a single number. On some work or the other, we speak 2-3 times a week, but I don't remember your number. So that means, oh, not necessary. Correct. Starts with that. There was a time when all this was by-hearted in people's minds. All this existed in people's minds. Now you need books. You need this. Where to find it on Amazon? Even I. But teachers had it all in their minds. Just spend some time thinking on that. Okay, what is going to destroy civilization? Anyway, if more time is available, then you can look into all those things, other aspects that will affect you. Not that in olden days, these were not looked into. I am sure they were looked into. 2 7-storied buildings, Nalanda and Dakshina. 2 7-storied buildings, libraries, 7 stories of books were destroyed, manuscripts. I am not speaking Hindutva, I am speaking facts. This is what happened. All the knowledge, where it went. Yeah. Plus attribution of all this invention to the West. In India especially. You go to the Melbourne Medical College, they have a statue of Susrusha. Susrusha, the father of medicine. In India, what do we call father of medicine? Which is a vow, promise you take. Hippocrates. The Hippocratical oath. Hypocritical. It's not even recently. In Sion Hospital, my time, there is a doctor called Dr. Tatte. He invented different forms of hand surgery, new discoveries. In the old books, which was published in the West, they were called Tatte's methods, because 2 Americans would come to train under him every year. After 20 years, they replaced Tatte's name with somebody else, some American. What happened to intellectual property rights? This is called hijacking. So we don't know how much knowledge of those things were there. We don't know. From what is available, this is what they talk about as jati.
Coming to one clarification about the Nyaya, when we say jati, the closest English word can be concept.
Yeah, not concepts, classifications.
So if it's a classification, by definition it is a concept.
Yeah. All classifications are concepts.
And if it is a concept, it has a beginning.
It has a beginning, yeah.
Right?
That's why he says it began when you saw a pot. In your mind, it began when you saw a pot. Without seeing the pot, there is no jati of pot coming into your mind.
No, so if it had a beginning, how do they then say it is Nitya?
Functionally. Because always there. Even before you saw it in somebody else's mind, it is there. So functionally. Some functional nityatvam we can grant it. But we are talking about nityam, it cannot be. Nityam is unconditioned by time and space. That unconditioned by time and space, it cannot be. Because it is not there. It is not unconditioned. It's a finite thing. We are talking about a finite pot. And jatitvam is a reference to pot. That is finite, therefore your jati also will be finite. It's important to see that. Jati comes under? Yeah, jati will come under gunas, correct? Yeah, correct.
The sad part is the whole thing is coming from them who is very, very intelligent, well read, and a proper established school of knowledge.
Why do you think it is happening?
How is it so?
Why do you think a well-read, intelligent person makes mistakes with respect to understanding the world? Why? Huh?
Because the world is fundamentally
You take the world as real.
part with reality.
Because Mithyatva Nishchaya is not
Because
Mithyatva Nishchaya.
Mithyatva Nishchaya is not taking place. Mithyatva Nishchaya will not take place unless you are exposed to Shabda Pramana. It will not take place.
We say it
Wasn't there a time when you thought medicine had all the answers? Until you went into it deep enough and said, never had all the answers. Yeah, it will not have. No system will have all the answers. If you examine systems, you know, no system has all the answers. Therefore, this type of understanding is important. There is a jati, we accept it, but not the way Nyaya presents it as Nityam. No. Jati is there, of course it is there. In fact, we say that now, an object, when we are discussing what can words convey, we say what? Nama, Rupa, Guna, Kriya, Sambandha, Jati. Isn't that all that words will convey? Nama, Rupa, Guna, Jati, Kriya, Sambandha. Name, form, Jati group, Kriya function, Sambandha relationship. That's all words will convey.
Something I would doubt. So when I talk about hotness
Hmm.
and isness, because
Isness is not jati. Hotness is jati. Huh.
But I mean, since I am understanding it this way, that isness, I am also looking at both the ways. That hotness is something like functionally dependent, and isness, when I am saying this is the addition. I'm talking about formless. Why that's coming to my mind when I'm
Yeah. So na bhavo vidyate sataha, na sato vidyate bhava. It's not one displacing the other. It is not. The Brahman, understanding of Brahman does not displace the world. It only displaces the reality of the world. It's like seeing a golden ornament. You know the ornament, you know gold, both. What's the big problem in that? It's good that you're seeing both. No? Yeah. It's supposed to be seen. We miss it out and then we're wondering why we're seeing. Okay. Why is it suddenly gone? Okay. Just in case it's necessary, I will switch on my this thing and keep. Okay.
This picture is also not seen.
I know.
Every day around this time, you don't know.
You don't see me now or you don't hear me now? What is it?
No, can't see you.
If you are answering, that means at least you can hear me. That's a reasonable inference without upadhi. No, it's going off again. That means I have to switch. अरे बंदूक वाला नहीं चाहिए मेरे को G5 का चाहिए. बंदूक वाला is coming on it. I want this to come on that. It always takes some time to come on. अभी आया मोहन. Oh, it should come on. I was just saying it is functioning perfectly, and it was functioning very clean, no issues. I am back, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So there is what it is, Jati is accepted, but not as eternal, etc. So all these points one has to keep in mind, because your concept of Jati came into your mind only because you saw the Vyakti. If you have not seen a pot, you will not have a concept of potness in your mind. Jati exists because you saw the Vyakti, the individual. From the individual inferred the Jati, not the other way around. Therefore, he says there is no inference to show that Jati is Nityam. Yes, Satish bhai.
Yeah, Swami, a potness, etc. is all generalized as objectness.
Yeah, then you will have to say the whole world and say objectness. Now,
Yeah.
the problem of saying objectness will be,
One second.
yeah,
This objectness is a jati.
can't be.
Yes.
Objectness cannot be a Jati.
Okay.
You know why? One second. You know why? If you are saying objectness, you are including all that you perceive.
Yeah.
Correct?
Okay. Yeah.
But a Jati has to differentiate from other Jatis.
Okay, fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that way, yeah.
Like that, isness is also not a jati.
What is that?
Isness.
I'm not understanding that word. Eastness, okay, eastness. I was hearing incense and I was wondering what is incense. Eastness, yeah. Thanks, Rohit. Yeah.
Now tell me, is there anything like subjectness?
You can have subjectness
How?
and objectness as two Jatis now. What you are actually saying by saying subjectness and objectness, you are saying knower known. A jati of knowers, a jati of knowns. So what you are actually saying is a jati of insentient things and a jati of sentient things. That much you can say. Yeah. That's all you can say. That we always say, na, what is the world is made up of? Characharam, sentient and insentient. Not a problem. That is not an issue. Yeah.
Okay, what I had in mind was that the subject is, if the subject is consciousness, then there should not
You can't say only subject is consciousness, because subject object both are consciousness. Yeah. So you can't say subject and say consciousness. Then you will fall in the trap that science is walking into right now. Yeah. By trying to study consciousness, only manifested consciousness they are studying.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So that way.
So all of Nyaya is restricted to look through the prism of only functional reality,
Yeah.
right? Because by definition that's
See, Nyaya started by saying functional reality. But remember, Nyaya is also a darshana. Because of that, they have to bring the. See, any system in India, whether it is meant to deal with the functional world or anything else, has to bring the ultimate purpose in view. And one thing in the culture recognized was the ultimate purpose is fulfillment, moksha. This much knowledge they all had.
and they all agree on it.
Huh? That fulfillment is the goal, moksha. Parama Purushartha, moksha was, except Charvakas, all other darshanas agreed on that. Then the question came up, if moksha is the ultimate Purushartha, how is your darshana connected with that? So somewhere they have to connect. Otherwise you will have to say your darshana is not fulfilling that purpose. And there were systems for that. Yeah. Because when you are studying Artha Shastra, creating of wealth, etc. Okay? We said, this is one of the Purusharthas. They connected up by saying this is one of the Purusharthas, because on an empty stomach you cannot think of reality, of moksha. Therefore, that way they brought about a connection. Security also, when you are studying other things, they said, without an army, you won't have the security for you to pursue anything in life.
But somewhere, in the text, the way it is, and
Yeah.
also in the past when you refer to Nyaya and Darshana, etc.,
Yeah.
there is so much validity we are giving to Nyaya.
Yeah.
Why did Vedanta give it so much validity? Because
The-
fundamentally it is starting from a different
Yeah.
lens.
Now, very good question here for those who may not have heard it. Why are we giving so much of validity to Nyaya? Two reasons. One, we are logical people and we have to understand Vedanta logically. Because since Vedanta has to be understood and it's not a belief system, it is not like New Age thinking. People saying, I had this editor of a New Age magazine thing, but it is true, no? Everyone is same, no? And if everyone is same, then why should we all? There is no understanding. It's just a New Age way of saying everything is same. What is same is a big question. So, because of the illogical presentation, it has to be logically presented. Therefore, Nyaya gains a great standing in terms of logic, your refinement of your logic. So, great validity there. Number two, as a Purvapaksha. As a Purvapaksha, because once you answer Nyaya arguments, your mind is well trained to answer any arguments. Therefore, Mananam takes place very nicely. He himself says at the end of it, remember?
Yeah.
Nyaya itself says that it is meant for Mananam. That means probably at least some of the writers, I know some of the commentators of Nyaya Sutras, etc., were definitely Vedantins also. Though the initial writers may not have been. Commentators were, because they knew how it is useful, how much it is not useful.
Swamiji, is there any good commentary on Nyaya that can be read?
Plenty, but not in English.
All in Sanskritam.
You have one book which is published by Ramakrishna Mission. Next step to Tarka Sangraha is called Bhasha Paricheda. Bhasha Paricheda. Don't come to me with the confusions. Okay? In fact, if you can read the Indumati Tika on Nyaya Shastra, you will find it is great. Indumati Tika. Okay. So, this is why Nyaya was given its importance, for these two standpoints. That's why I'm sure that's why they deliberately brought in words like Nityam, etc., to double check your understanding about it. This is Nityam, this is yeah. So that your understanding of it is clear. Therefore, he says, the Jati itself cannot become Nityam. Okay. He says, Eva meva upaditam nirasaniyam. Therefore, the upadi of calling it Jati, etc., nirasaniyam. This is to be negated. How do you ever take all this as eternal, etc.? You cannot take it. Though we say Jati, yeah, Jati exists, no? We included Jati in human beings also, no? As a class, as a group of people, Vishwakarma Jati, meaning carpenters. So they all stayed together, worked together, helped each other. Jati. Potters, Kumbhakas, Jati. They all stayed together. That's why Dharavi redevelopment is running into some problems, because they want to give all of them flats, and the Kumbhars there don't want flats. He says, if you are giving us flats, give us a place to dry our pots. No? So they all stayed together. Why? So that they could have one common area where everyone's pots could be dried in the sun. Therefore, the Jati or Kumbhar stayed together.
That is applicable for all artisans.
All of them. That is why it was very common practice, because they are staying together, they knew each other. A Kumbhar married another Kumbhar. The girl was from a Kumbhar family, the guy is from a Kumbhar family. Vishwakarma married Vishwakarma. Why? You have known each other since children, yaar, come on. You grew up together. How many marriages has happened in Uttam society? Many. Why? It's a society, everyone grew up together. Uttamites. You have a WhatsApp group calling Uttamite, another Jati.
Also, Varna, it was work-wise.
Work-wise, exactly. Kshatriyas all were together. Why? You needed training ground, all the common things has to be built up. So Kshatriya girl married another Kshatriya man. Simple. When the Britishers came and translated all of it as caste, Jati was not caste. We didn't have 18 castes. We had 4 varnas. Broad categorization. That was also a broad Jati. Broad. Business people. Yeah, occupation, guna karma vibhagayo. Remember? Guna and karma. Yeah. Yeah. Even today, a lawyer's child will become a lawyer most likely. No? Doctor's child will become a doctor most likely. But because of competition, all may not get in sometimes. And because doctors in today's world don't have work-life balance, the child will see that parents struggling like that and say, I don't want to be a doctor. Just because there is no work-life balance. Otherwise, you would have seen it differently. And children are born at a time when you are struggling to establish yourself in your profession. So the time given to the profession is much more. So naturally, the child will say that. And Varna also is not fixed. Some of the greatest people, famous people known in the Varnas were from different Varnas, birth Varnas. The greatest general in military history, Dronacharya, was a Brahmana. By Varna of birth, he was Brahmana. By karma, Kshatriya. By karma, he was Kshatriya. Why? He was a general, commanded the Kaurava forces, invincible in war.
But all the Brahmins who ran ashrams, in those days they also used to give you knowledge of warfare.
Yeah.
They had the full knowledge.
See,
Yoga, Vishishti and all.
martial art and spiritual studies went together. Even in the Gita, you find 4th, 5th chapters. What does Krishna say? Evam Raja Rishayo Viduhu. I taught it to Manu. I taught it to Surya. Surya taught it to Manu. Manu taught it to Ishvaku. And then all the Raja Rishis, people who were kings and rishis, they knew this knowledge. That means in that area, the other rishis learned from the Kshatriya rishis. Yeah. As I said, some of the best meditators I know are from the martial arts, not from spirituality. Yeah, I'm not joking. If you want, I'll put you all through some meditation in a camp and you will see the difference. Yeah. You'll see what's happening. Yeah. That is my preparation. No? Calm, centered. Attack is coming. You are being attacked. Be calm. Be peaceful. It's only an attack. It's only an attack. Why we are getting disturbed about it? Yeah. Hey, I'll get injured. That's all, no? What? That's all? I may die. That's all, no? बड़ा बात क्या है इसमें? Therefore, the idea was this: Jati only meant a group, okay? And what we are dismissing, we accept the Jati part of it. What we are dismissing is the Nityatvam of it. Yeah, the Nityatvam of the world. Yeah. Tataha. Okay. After this, he goes into defining the perception from the standpoint of the object. All this was from perception from the standpoint of the knowledge. Now he goes into perception from the standpoint of the object. Okay? It's a huge thing by itself, but that we will see next class. Okay? It's already 12:20. I have given you all enough to think about today. Okay? Next class we will see it. Om Tat Sat.